Well, after the line bites, I'm now, whether I'm going to get this in or not, it remains to be seen. But something took my maggers down there, and it's not a rudd, but I'm well into the lilies. Let's see if I can get on top of it. Hi again. Today I am at a new lake. I've been doing some research on the internet trying to find places to fish, and I found this one, which is a small ex-gravel pit that was dug many years ago at Earith. Now if you look on Google Maps at Earith, Cambridgeshire, you'll see there are an awful lot of lakes. It's obviously an area that has been excavated for gravel over the years, and this is one of the older ones apparently. Most of the lakes, as usual these days, are syndicated for carp, and in fact it's quite depressing when you sort of go on the internet trying to find new places to fish that so many seem to be concentrating on carp, big carp, syndicated, very expensive, and not really the sort of thing I'm looking for. But this one really fits the bill. It's a very small gravel pit. See if I can just pan round a bit, and I'm fishing one corner. It's quite deep where I'm fishing. It's about 4 or 5 feet. There's one guy here today. I checked it out yesterday and there was a guy here, and there's another guy here today who is fishing 2 rods on the feeder presumably. He arrived much earlier than me, but he's had a bream, a couple of tench and a carp, so it looks promising, but I'm not that worried about the carp. But I have tackled up with 6-pound line direct to a 14 hook because I don't really know what I'm going to get here, and I don't want to be caught out, and there's quite a lot of lily pads where I'm fishing. I'll show you the swim in a minute when I put the head cam on. Anyway, a new adventure, new place. Let's see how we go. Okay, got the head cam on now, so you've got a better view of the swim. I've pre-baited out there by the lilies. I didn't really mean to cast between the lilies there, which was probably a bit dangerous, but we'll see what happens. I have had actually a couple of casts before I put the cam on, and I seem to be being bothered by a small rudd, which seems to be, or small roach perhaps, which seems to be the story of most of the lakes that I've fished recently. But interestingly, just on the far side of those lilies, there were a succession of bubbles came up about 10 minutes ago. And I'm no expert on tench, but certainly had the look of tench bubbles. I think that's too dangerous in there. Yeah, I'm going to lose me hook if I'm not careful, aren't I? Not good. Okay, I managed to get my hook back. It got caught on the lily stem, which was a bit fortunate. I'm fishing a bit further away from them now. Apparently this is one of the deeper parts of the pit around the edges, so we'll have to see. Hoping the sun will go around a bit in a minute and get behind this tree next to me, and I'll be in the shade. I'm getting a bit warm here. I could move under the tree, but the trouble with that is, of course, I'm going to be fouling the tree when I strike. You can see the trees opposite there on the opposite bank. Well, in fact, there's another lake behind there. That's part of another fishery. So, got something. It's a bit of a tricky swim to manoeuvre things in, really. No, it's just a roach. Oh well, we've broken the duck, as they say. It'll be a bit challenging getting a bigger fish in here. I might have to work my way along the bank a bit and get away from these lily pads. Yeah, into the roach again. I brought some corn with me today and I've got some luncheon meat, so I can go off maggots if I need to. I keep forgetting to get my disgorger out, which is a bit naughty really. Let's go and get the disgorger, shall we? I don't know if you can see those bubbles out there on this camera, but I think it's definitely fish because it's sort of moving along and far too much for just the occasional gas escape from the bottom, I think. Don't know if they're moving my way or not, but be nice to think so. Oh no, it's just another roach, I think. I was catching small roach and rudd, and obviously that's the problem with maggots. So I've put a little bit of luncheon meat on and see if that makes any difference. When I came here yesterday, just to check it out, it was overcast day. It was really a much better day for fishing than today. The forecast for today, as of a couple of days ago, was to be sort of a mixture of overcast and bright spells, but as is often the case with the weather these days, now we've got to today, the forecast is clear blue skies. So not the best, really. Well, it's the same problem here. I've been having elsewhere, that if I go on to maggot, I just get the roach and rod, or roach here I think for the most part. But the luncheon meat didn't do any good at all. I had it out there for a while. I spent a while just changing floats. I was having difficulty with this float, seeing it in the sort of mottling of the reflections of the trees and the shade, and then the sun was going in and out. And yeah, so I spent a bit of time experimenting with different floats, but none of them worked any better, so I'm back on the one I started with. But I must admit, it's a very pleasant place to fish. The way they've done it, you can probably see they've excavated the bank to give like a path all the way round. And the great bonus is there are no platforms, no stages. It's just natural ground all the way round. So yeah, this is not really working, is it? I'm just catching lots of little ones. As usual, they're taking the damn thing down. And I've got a 14 hook on, which is a bit big for these little fellas. Yeah. The guy over there who caught a few fish before I arrived this morning hasn't caught any more since, so I probably missed the best part of the day as usual. I don't want to be there. I was just hoping by feeding in maggots that other fish might come into the swim. As I say, it's the first time I've fished it, so I really don't know the good spots from the not so good spots, but this looks quite inviting to me, this corner. It's obviously later in the year it will probably be one bed of lily pads, and there's certainly been fish movement in the lily pads. I've not actually seen the fish, but there have been swirls under the lily pads, so they're fishing the area. But and as I said earlier, there were some very interesting bubbles, sort of a bubble train, if you like. The bubbles were moving along, which tended to suggest fish. And they're also breaming here, which is a bit different to other places I've fished where they don't seem to stop bream. But these are not the best conditions for bream. Anyway, it's a pleasant enough place. The sun has now moved around, so the tree on my right is providing a nice shadow or shade. So it really is quite pleasant. You no doubt can hear the bird song, which is continuous. Yeah, it's a pretty little lake, this. It really is pretty. I was pleased to find also that it is actually, or was, a gravel pit. It's not one of these sort of lakes that have just been dug out for the purpose of stocking with fish. Obviously it has been stocked, but it is a sort of natural lake, if you can say that. Oh, that one came off. That saved me the trouble of getting the hook out. No, they're all small ones, I'm afraid, at the moment, so obviously I'll come back to you if anything more interesting arrives. Well, it's 11:30. I started fishing about 9:30, so a couple of hours in. But even the roach now seem to have stopped feeding. It's gone exceedingly quiet. So, still occasional movement in these lilies. I don't see anything, but there's obviously a fish moving around. But whereas the little roach were grabbing the bait as soon as it went in, they seem to have stopped. But I did sort of slide the flow up a bit, and I'm about 6 inches deeper now, because there was some drift. Float was actually moving across, so I've basically now got I think I've got the bottom shot on the deck. So that may be why the roach stopped. Perhaps they were happier when the bait was just sort of dangling. But it is very, very quiet. Very, very peaceful, in fact. I suppose in a way the fact the roach has stopped feeding might be of benefit, because at least the bait is resting undisturbed, so if there is anything else on the prowl, maybe I'll be lucky. But if the roach have gone off the feed, I guess most other things have as well. So I think I'm losing my voice actually. Got a bit of a dry throat at the moment. Apologies for the gruffness. It's interesting, when I was inquiring about this lake, I sent a Facebook question and got a reply back, and the guy said that obviously there were the normal species of fishing here, the roach, the perch, the carp, etc. But he also mentioned pike, which sort of confirms really it's an established old gravel pit rather than one of these newly dug, specifically stocked waters. So yeah, it's supposed to be pike in here to 20 pounds. It's not a very big lake, so I find that a bit surprising, but not that I'm really after pike. But things have really gone quiet now. The guy opposite obviously caught, as I said before, fish before I arrived, but hasn't done so since. So, but amazingly, the roach have stopped feeding, which is quite weird, really. But there we go. I'm just sitting here enjoying the solitude and the peacefulness. Certainly my kind of lake, this. Although I still prefer the rivers. Well, it's very pleasant sitting here, and I must admit, I find the place very attractive, but fish-wise, at the moment, it's still the occasional roach or rudd. That's not to say I haven't seen some big carp cruising around, and in fact just literally a couple of minutes ago, literally right down there by my feet, those some reeds were moving, so they're actually probably swimming under my feet, but not taking my bait. And I saw quite a big one cruising towards that cluster of reeds in the middle, and shortly after the reeds were sort of moving around, so there were carp moving around. That is a big carp. As I say, I don't know if they're just up on the surface for oxygen or whether they're actually feeding, but I lost a bite. Oh, this feels a bit better. I must keep forgetting that tree's there. Yeah. That's a bit better, isn't it? These lilies are a bit of a problem. If I get anything big, I think I'm going to struggle to get it in. Yeah, that's probably the best fish I've had today so far. Yeah, very nice. It's a rudd, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, as I say, that's the best one I've had today. Most of them have been quite diddy. So, there are big carp in here, certainly, but I don't think they're feeding today. They're just cruising under the lily pads as they do. I'm not sure if I hook something decent here. I'm going to get it out, actually. It's a bit of a hostile swim. There we go. The guy opposite's packing up. He had one more fish, actually, about an hour ago. I'm not sure what it was, but a biggish fish. Could have been a bream, I'm not sure, but may have been a carp, small carp, I don't know. But he's obviously packing up, so I'll be on my own then. We're the only two here, so yeah, it's a beautiful little lake. I must admit, I really like the ambience. I've just got to learn how to catch the fish, so we'll keep trying. It's 1 o'clock. I'm now sitting in the shade of the trees to the right and behind me, so it's a bit better than being in the sun, but where I'm fishing still in the sun. Again, a bit of drift on this water. It keeps drifting backwards and forwards. I'm not sure what's causing it, but I think I may have to put a bigger shot on the bottom and anchor the float. But there have been carp cruising through these lilies, most frustratingly, but not much else is happening in terms of bait fishing on the bottom. I'm back on luncheon meat because I was just catching lots of small rudd, and I'm on a 14-eyed hook, and they were taking it down, and it really is quite difficult sometimes to get the hook out without hurting them or damaging them. So I've gone on to luncheon meat, and I'll just leave it there and see what happens. At the very least, perhaps a better rudd will take it. It's a delightful little spot, this. If only I could catch a few more decent fish, but that's probably down to me more than anything else. In that reed bank over there, there's a lot of movement of the reeds. I think the carp are in there. Actually, I can actually see one on the surface. You probably may not see it with this camera. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of carp moving around. A carp has just literally swum past my float and rubbed against it on the surface there, where the bait's on the bottom. It's sort of cruising around these lily pads and coming back towards me now. I don't know if you can see it with this camera. It's literally right in front of me. if it'd go down to the bottom and have a bit of a root around down the bottom, I might be in business, but at the moment it's just cruising under the lily pads. I don't know if you can see this right down in front of me here. The reeds are moving. I'm sure it's down here now. Literally a foot out from the bank. Jeez. Can you see the reeds moving here? Unbelievable. So, we've got carp moving around right in front of us, but there we go. The big splash over by those reeds there. Yeah, these carp are getting very active at the moment. I've got some more maggots, by the way. I was using up the old ones first. Thing is, I was going to pack up about 2:30, so if they're going to get active, they better hurry up about it. It's just coming up to 1:30 now, so. Incredibly frustrating. There are two largish carp, very light coloured, sort of more like Earith in fact, but they literally just cruising around these lilies. They keep coming and going, and yeah, you sit here watching the float doing nothing, and I don't know if you can see the lilies moving out there. There's one under there. Oh, you can probably see it even with this camera. I don't think they're interested in bait, to be honest. But they're cruising around this bay continually, and whereas my float sits there and doesn't move. It would have been interesting. I didn't bring any bread today, but it would have been interesting if I had some bread with me and I could have just thrown a piece of crust down and seen if they would have reacted to it. I'll check the rules, and if I can use floating baits here, I'll bring some bread next time, and it might be an option. I have to bring a bit more powerful rod though, and heavier line if I'm going to try and pick them out of the lily pads. As a bit of a last ditch effort, I've got my float down here, right near the bank, in among the lilies which have been moving around like billy-o. And the float's been moving around, and I think they're line bites or line interference by the carp probably as they're swimming around down there. But that's as far as it goes. They're not interested in taking my bunch of maggots, I don't think. Anyway, as I say, it's a bit of a last-ditch effort. I'm going to pack up soon, but it's been an enjoyable experience here. It's a lovely place, really pleasant place. I think I might have to try the feeder. That seems to be the order of the day here, even though it seems to be ideally suited for float fishing. But as has been the case in a number of spots or a number of lakes recently, the small rudd are are the problem. It's getting past the rud with the float. Anyway, after that bit of activity around my float, which I was almost sure that was line bites from carp moving around down there, but they're obviously not interested. I don't know if you can hear the Canada geese. They're not on this lake. There's a lake just over the back there, and they're on that one. This one's very peaceful. We've got a few mallards and a few other ducks and a moorhen or two. Well, after the line bites, I'm now, whether I'm going to get this in or not, it remains to be seen. But something took my maggots down there, and it's not a rud, but I'm well into the lilies. Let's see if I can get on top of it. Not sure if I'm still into the fish or... Yeah, I'm still into the fish. Oh yeah, it's quite a good fish, isn't it? Of course it could be foul hooked, that's the other problem. Looks like it could be foul hooked, doesn't it? I suppose it was always a risk. Oh no, it's not. It's more like an orf, isn't it? Than a carp. It's a bit angry. It's a bit angry. I've got to keep it out of these lilies. What a beautiful fish. Oh, the net's only just big enough. Oh well, perseverance was worthwhile in the end. What a beautiful looking fish. Well, that hook was really right down, but I got it out cleanly on the first attempt with the disgorger, so just giving him a bit of a rest. I think that's the one that's been cruising around, obviously. There she be. Okay, so that's it for today. A bit of a surprise at the end there. I was almost ready to pack up, but that carp, koi, goldfish, I'm not sure what it was, really took that bait. I thought it was foul hooked at first. I thought I was going to lose it in the lily pads, but managed to muscle it out. I was using my Gray's float rod with a 6-pound line, so I had a bit of power behind me, but even so it was a bit touch and go. Yeah, bit of a surprise really. Up until then it had just been small roach, well mainly rudd I think, which has been the story of my life lately really. But it didn't really matter so much today because I really enjoyed this place. It's a peaceful place, very pretty, very nice little lake. As I say, as I've said in the video, I like small lakes. And yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. I'm sure I'm going to give it another go. So, thanks for watching. as always, and if you want to give me a like, please do, and if you want to subscribe, if you haven't already, I'll be very pleased. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed and continue to watch the videos, and thanks for the comments that I've received. Anyway, and until the next time, as always, it's goodbye for now, and cheers.